So basically, it was all about people management,
Yes.
and that must have been one of your great learnings. Uh, Dell was one of your other
Right.
experiences that you had as far as HR goes. What was your basic profile in Dell, and what were some of the things that you managed with Dell?
Right. So I had two roles there. The first role was when I was heading HR operations. There were three verticals in HR. So HR operations one, and reporting to the head of HR. And it was quite a change. It was coming from the manufacturing background to an IT company. IT, that too in Y2K era. And the fast-paced growth which was there. So the systems, processes had taken somewhat a backseat then in the IT industry because of the pace of growth. Probably the other things could not go develop hand in hand. Whereas I came from a foolproof, thorough, rigorous process industry, which was there in manufacturing, and all the HR systems, processes, documentation, everything was absolutely foolproof. And I found it almost chaotic here. Like even the location tracking was not proper, which employee was where, on which client side in the US, we were not sure of. And so I think I could contribute a bit in streamlining the processes, and that was really recognized. So that was the first role. Then after that, there was an internal recruitment, and I got selected for heading the HR of one of the joint ventures with a company in UK. And this was a telecom software company. So we had to hire telecom engineers to be placed in UK.
That was
in those-
Aircom UK.
Yeah, Aircom UK, and that's how the business started. Out there, it was everything. It was a startup experience, and it was fun doing that. There were only two people, the CEO and myself, who started the company. And right from admin to legal, accounts, secretarial, with the help of course, the Dell HODs, and HCL HODs were also there. So that's how I started that, and single-handedly we did. And later on, of course, the organization grew and became highly successful, profitable, and fast-growing organization.
So, as an HR personnel, what are the challenges that you face when you have a merger? Because the cultures might be different.
Absolutely.
And suddenly there are these two varying culture that comes together. So, what are some of the challenges, and how do you tackle that?
Right. So that is always there, and you can make that out during due diligence process itself, and then you need to prepare for the integration process, how to address each of that. So of course, one is the culture. The expectations of both set of employees is very different. So one company was in India, which was HCL Technologies, and HCL Pero Systems, which was itself a JV, and they were joining hands. Some part of it became Dell later on. They were joining hands with a UK-based company. Out here in the Indian setup, stability of tenure, a little set processes and systems, they were valued far more. Whereas the salary expectations of the UK employees was far more. So then you have to marry the two. And so what we did was elicited the best elements of both the cultures, the HR policies, practices, and tried to create an amalgam which was better than both, as well as we borrowed from outside and thought of new things as well and created the policies and practices. So that was a very good experience.
What about Bharti? I think then you were with Bharti Airtel.
Yes. So
what was your role in Bharti?
Bharti Airtel was my most fulfilling stint, I would say. And there were two things. My learning was highest there. Plus my contribution also probably would be the highest there. Learning was highest in two ways. One was structured learning, and the other one was experiential learning. Structured learning, I got exposure to the world's best training companies, consultants, HR consultants. So be it, for example, the Hayes methodology by Hayes, and how to implement. Basically, you learn by doing it. It's not only by attending the classes or the training program. or certification. So the on-ground learning happens when you really execute it. So be it HAZE, be it competency mapping by SHL, and conducting development centers through their ACT methodology, be it extensive working on employee engagement with Gallup for the Airtel employees across locations, and be it HR audit with Aon, which was Haywood then, and many more, of course, interventions. So there's a lot of structured learning which came, experiential learning, because this was again a startup circle.
Right. So you said it was a startup circle. Which area was this?
Yes, this was the UP West circle.
Okay. How challenging was
Yeah,
the circle itself, the region itself?
Right. So the regional, there was not, because I was very familiar with Delhi and Dehradun and the areas adjoining there. So it was not so much of a problem. Yes, the challenges were more within the regulatory challenges were there. So we hired all the employees because this was very difficult. It was the heydays of telecom and growth was happening really fast pace. And then we did not get the POI, the point of interconnect license from BSNL. And this was about 7-8 months. So how do you keep mid, senior, junior employees, a full workforce engaged for 8 months? And he could not let them go at all because it was very difficult to get people. And anyway, it is not ethical. So it was very difficult to keep them engaged, motivated. So that was one of the challenges which was there. That is when we did a lot of engagement activities and training activities which were there. And then the launch happened and the fast-paced growth which had to be done, circle really ramped up, be it in terms of hiring, and attrition was also there, and different processes set up, and everything had to be obviously in sync with, the corporate HR of Airtel. So that was the challenge out there. Yes.
So you've worked in many different regions. Approximately how many regions must you have worked in your professional career till now?
So I have worked in Delhi for a very long time and Mumbai. And
so Delhi and Mumbai are the longest.
Longest. Then I worked in Calcutta and the vicinity. And
so East.
Covered, yes. And of course, I have worked for a short while in Africa as well. I was based in Nairobi and also going to Lagos, Accra. And of course, I've been traveling to different countries as well. As part of
so within India, in these regions, is culturally it must be different. Is that a challenge when it comes to being an HR professional?
See, I would say, Kiran, with a word of caution, that individuals vary. So when we talk here, it is, I would say, somewhere stereotype. Nevertheless, yes, there is some consistency from a region, but one should be surely watchful that individuals vary in each region. Yes, I think Mumbai turns out to be more professional and Delhi. So these are two areas which certainly are far more professional. Maybe Mumbai even more than Delhi. Eastern side, there have been challenges, and that's how many industries have moved out of that side. But now with the IT industry coming in, they're trying to really catch up again. At some point of time, they were, the fastest growing during independence.
So even with time, things have changed within this region, and now we've seen a lot of people migrating from different states to different regions.
Absolutely.
So I think there's been a cultural mix that has happened over a period of time.
More cosmopolitan corporate culture which is there.
Sure. Apart from these sectors, you've also worked in the BPO sector.
Yes, so this stint was with EXL. And it was a wonderful stint. I was heading HR for the outsourcing business, and there were about 24,000 employees back then. And the geographies were India, Europe, and the Philippines. So it was quite interesting. And
it must be a different age group, right? When we talk about
absolutely,
BPOs.
much younger people.
Yeah, much younger people.
So were they in the IT industry also earlier, but and telecom also. Yeah, out here maybe much younger. The culture was quite different. True. And they had their other challenges also. The speed is very much, but I think the best score, employee engagement score that I have been able to get along with the team for the employees has been this steep curve which has been there. That has been best in EXL. It was
What would you attribute that to?
yeah, so we did a lot of interventions, a lot of employee engagement initiatives. First and foremost, we studied the Gallup report very well and deeply, and what were the improvement areas, what are the strengths which were there, and how to leverage the strengths, what to do about the improvement areas, and that was we really diligently worked on it, and that's what really worked.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you so much for your time and those valuable insights. It was a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you,
Sanjay.
Karan.
Thank
I had
you.
a nice conversation.